Hey Dragon Slayers! Today's video is about Alzheimer's connection to insulin resistance, part 2. Insulin may contribute directly to alpha beta plaque accumulation. In one study, researchers infused healthy older adults with insulin. They found that this artificial acute state of high insulin increased alpha beta in the participants' spinal fluid, even more dramatically so in elderly patients. But producing alpha beta alone may not be sufficient to affect Alzheimer's disease risk. Location matters. With Alzheimer's disease, alpha beta plaques accumulate in the spaces between nerves in the brain, not in the nerves themselves. And sure enough, insulin increases alpha beta release from brain nerves, increasing its accumulation outside and in between the brain cells. Neuro-fibrillary tangles are thought to be another key feature of Alzheimer's disease. Tau is a protein that acts to maintain normal nerve structure. With Alzheimer's disease, tau becomes overactive and, like a rambunctious child, somewhat frenetic. This means that tau doesn't do its job as well. Instead of maintaining nerve structure, tau now twists and tangles the nerves, creating neurofibrillary tangles. Even here, insulin is relevant. Normal insulin signaling in the brain inhibits the activity of tau. So when this signaling is compromised, as it is with insulin resistance, tau becomes overactive, potentially leading to neurofibrillary tangles. In the face of such evidence of the supporting role for alpha beta plaques and neurofibrillary tangles, it's hard to believe there might be an alternative theory to explain the disease's origin. But a recent study found plaques and tangles in the brains of elderly people who had no signs of dementia. Clearly, something else is going on and requiring another perspective. The alternative theory is out there and is focused on the alterations of the brain's metabolic workings. As you may have guessed it by now, insulin still plays a role. The brain has tremendous energy demands. At rest, it's one of the most metabolically active tissues in our body, several more times than muscle, and so it's very sensitive to any energy deprivation. It's a high performance engine that starts to sputter as fuel gets low. The brain of a person in a fed state, having eaten a conventional meal, requires 100% of its energy from glucose, as opposed to less than half during a fasted state, with the rest coming from something called ketones, which we'll discuss more later. In a typical Western diet, the frequency with which we eat every few hours and the types of food we choose, which are often highly processed foods, create a constant fed state. This complete glucose reliance creates a frightening problem. The brain's inability to get enough glucose is a cardinal feature of Alzheimer's disease. As in our muscles, insulin facilitates the movement of glucose into the brain. However, as the brain becomes progressively more and more insulin resistant over time, it becomes less and less able to obtain enough glucose to meet its energy demands. So, like the engine running on empty, the brain doesn't work as well. This phenomena is known as glucose hypometabolism. And the greater the degree a person has the phenomena, the more rapid the onset of Alzheimer's disease is. The decline generally goes less brain activity, it goes less brain insulin sensitivity equals less brain glucose uptake, which equals less brain energy, which equals compromised brain function. Because of this increased prominence, we are focusing on learning more about Alzheimer's than ever before. While some older theories like plaquing and tangles are losing ground, our discoveries in the metabolic origins of Alzheimer's including insulin's key role, are presenting new and better approaches to the detection and the treatment of the disease. Yet, remarkably, insulin resistance doesn't stop there. In addition to its part in Alzheimer's, insulin resistance is also involved in other forms of dementia. That's what I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, together, you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.